This is an opportunity to me a little bit to talk about like just some philosophical sort of sides of DJing like that. You said you took chances a lot.
Oh, always.
And well, your instincts were obviously very good.
Well, you watch the dance floor.
Yeah. I know, it sounds so simple, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's not.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you had those super crowded nights,
Yeah.
like right before Gay Pride, okay,
Or a holiday,
is an example. You had to make sure you knew how to clear out a few people. I don't want to say clear the dance floor.
No, you never want to do
But
that.
you want, you want to bleed out some people to make them go to the bar and make the bartenders happy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a whole profession and business.
You know, I hear that a lot about making sure that you let some people go get a drink at the bar.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
forget how important that is sometimes.
Yeah.
When I get nervous if I lose some people from my dance floor, people are always like, they're going to go get a drink.
Yeah,
Relax.
yeah, relax.
Right.
Relax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's hard though, you know. I mean, I only started doing it again after many years of not doing it, and never did it for the kind of crowds I'm doing it for now in terms
Yeah.
of number. So I'm learning a lot again. All of a sudden, in my middle
Good,
age,
good
I'm
for
learning
you.
a lot. But what I mean is, it still makes me nervous to take those chances. You know, I mean, taking chances is something that you kind of feel like, oh my God, what if they hate it? You know, and you second guess yourself. And did you have a lot of that kind of feeling?
Well,
when
you
were in
have
the
to
booth?
have confidence.
Yeah.
And you have to work at a particular club to have that, or you have to have a name, because I'm trying to incorporate all the people that I've met in New York also, because it's so close to Boston. Like the circuit party DJs got their names and people recognize Michael Fairman from Susan Morabito, from Sharon White, from Henry Winslow, from, Michael Yorba, Robbie Leslie. In Boston, it was the night that you had at the club, okay? They trusted you, and thus, if they trusted you, if your crowd trusted you, you got very secure with yourself, and that's when you could take chances.
Yeah.
All right, like I said before, it was Dana, Steve, and myself who were the chaps DJs, because we were there the longest period of time.
Yeah.
Yes, there were other people who came and left, and but the three of us stayed there till the end.
Yeah, and help define the sound there.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, I mean, it's interesting to me just because, I mean, did you have those nights though where you'd play where a crowd felt kind of tough to you to like get them to react, or did you never have that?
Oh no, I had tough crowds.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How'd you handle them?
I gave them exactly what they wanted, and I
Yeah.
didn't take any chances.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes that's what you have to do, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes to get them on your side, you really
Right.
have to.
right.
Yeah.
And you'd have people like I remember at Chaps. There were people that would position themselves at one of the bars so you could see them because the booth was high enough.
Mm-hmm.
And they would walk around like 2, 3 of them, giving you the middle finger, like you suck tonight because you're giving into the crowd
Yeah.
or whatever, and it's like, hey, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah. So I was just telling another friend of this, the other day, that there's always going to be somebody who doesn't like what you do.
Oh, please.
There's always going to be somebody, and you have to not let them get into your headspace, right? You just have to just keep on going.
Yeah. There are people that dislike me for many reasons. Remember now, and I believe that other women will say this, I was working in a male-dominated industry,
Mhm. Yeah.
so I had to work twice as hard.
Yeah. I can
And
go with
I'm
that.
sure Wendy Hunt would say the same
Yep.
thing.
Mary Alice.
I'm sure Mary Alice would say the same thing.
Mhm.
I'm sure Sharon White from New York would say the same
Right.
thing.
Right.
We really had to prove ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And would you say you enjoyed playing for a gay male crowd the most, or did it matter to you? I mean, did it ever at a certain point become like a distinction for kind of crowd you like to play for the most? Because it seems like you could play for almost anybody.
Yeah, Boston gave me that experience
Yeah.
with the college nights that
Right.
I could play any kind of crowd.
Yeah.
Okay, and
But you only had so many records in your bag too, though, right? I mean, or in your bins to draw from. So you had to sort of be careful and smart about what you brought and what you had in the club, right?
yeah,
In terms of being able to be flexible, right?
I think I'm following you.
I mean, just in terms of whatever kind of crowd came in or whatever kind of crowd you had to play for. I mean, you know, now you can, with digital DJing, you can have a hard drive with like 1,000 records or
Right.
2,000, 5,000 songs. Whereas in the days of vinyl, you really only physically had so much space and so many records you could play with.
Yeah, okay. I'm the only person on earth that does not have a computer. I mean, I did,
Yeah,
but
got rid of it.
with all my illnesses,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you were but obviously, I mean, it was just about, I guess I'm just thinking about programming in general.
Mm.
Like how you programmed a night or how you made sure you had the right records with you so that you could be prepared for anything.
Yeah, no, I only had my, I think Dane and I had it the same way. No, yeah. Stephen too. We had him by beats per minute.
Yeah.
We had him by beats per minute.
But you take old things out after a while and put new
Yeah.
things in, keep certain things all
Right,
the time.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, for a long time.
right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was more fun with a gay male crowd than any other crowd,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Especially during the winter when there were snowstorms, because you had all of the city in your club,
Mhm.
and the bridge and tunnel crowd couldn't make it in. Hey,
Well.
c'est la vie. Chez la femme.
So, oh man, there's so much I want to talk about. I'm trying to think about of course, the city changed, right? I mean, now the South End isn't what it used to be in terms of, it's not as dominated by gay residents as it used
I've
to be.
heard that.
It's
yeah.
mostly families and children and,
I've heard
you
that,
know,
yeah.
returning, you know, older couples who kids have moved out and they're moving back into the city and all that. So it's not the same in terms of who goes out in the city. I think you rely on the bridge and tunnel crowd more than you ever used to, which is
Right.
really, it can be unfortunate, really,
Yeah.
you know. But, okay, so this is all throughout the 80s. How, can you talk about your impressions or anything you want to say about AIDS and how it impacted the business?
Oh, from Stonewall to AIDS.
Yeah.
The beginning of AIDS. I remember the first person in Boston who died from AIDS. He worked as a barback at Chaps. Oh, come on. What was his name? Michael Walsh was very, very close with him. Oh, and I remember he gave me a brass heart pin.
Yeah.
Fitzy, we used to call him. I don't know his first name. Fitzy. Yeah, he was a barback at Chaps.
I
in the
guarantee you somebody
70s.
watching this later on will
Yeah,
figure out who that is.
Val.
Yeah.
Maybe Stephen Burke,
Yeah.
but I know Michael Walsh knew him well, and believe it or not, he was the one that told us that Fitzy passed away. We didn't know about that much about.
It was very early on.
Yeah, very early.
Yeah, so that was a tough decade.
Oh my God.
It was horrible, right? Seeing
Yeah.
people getting sicker, seeing fewer and fewer people.
Well, I mean, right at this moment, I could say every bartender I work with at 1270 and at Chaps are no longer with us.
Mm.
I mean, there are DJs that are no longer with us.
Sure.
I think of them often, I
Mhm.
really do,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. It's hard, it really is, it's hard. I mean, the talent that just
Disappeared.
disappeared in all forms of art
Sure. Of course.
and entertainment, yeah.
And of course, Jimmy Stewart, we lost very early in the fire.
Oh,
I know we
that
talked
was
to
a
several
tragedy.
people about that, and they
Yeah.
remember exactly where they were when they heard it,
Yeah.
and they were just beyond devastated by that.
beyond,
Yeah.
beyond. I just couldn't believe that happened,
Right.
yeah.
Through all of it, I mean, there was still, I mean, it's so hard, I don't want to focus on the negativity of it, because through all of it, though, there was still a tremendous amount of bonding going on in the clubs, and there was still a tremendous amount of, joy being delivered through the music and everything else
Yeah.
in defiance
Right.
of it. Did you feel ever political in your playing? I mean, did it ever come across to you that way? Or was it just what it was? I mean, was the joy the sort of like politics? Was that it for you? Was to try and like get people through it, through
Yeah.
the music?
It was a joy. I remember Warner Brothers, Dennis Wheeler, he was a sweetheart also. He was a promotional man that would call me up every week to see how his product was doing. And I think it was Warner Brothers who put out a song about AIDS protection.
Yeah.
And I told him, I heard it, I says, the melody and the harmony is fine. I says, but you can't play this at a dance club.
Yeah.
I think that was the only, song
That was directly.
aimed towards the AIDS epidemic.
Yeah.
And I said, that is wrong. You do not bring out tragedy in an environment where you're supposed to present joy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all have problems. We try to get away from them.
Right.
And the way a lot of people get away from their problems is to step into a dance club. They don't want to hear someone talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
It's all around us.
It's a little too.
I gave him hell for that.
A little
I really
too
did.
literal, right? I mean, it's a
Yeah.
little too direct, because at the same time, I mean, I'm curious about your thoughts about sad dance music, because, you would get things like, morning music and sleaze had a lot of songs that were very poignant, though, right? I mean, that weren't strictly about the joy, right?
Oh, what's become of a broken heart,
Yeah.
Jimmy Ruffin?
Yeah,
How sad can you get?
yeah. So it was important, though, that you
Oh,
you still heard that out, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you went to New York, because they had longer hours.
Yeah,
And people would actually wait until 5 in the morning, 8 in the morning to go out just to hear that
yeah,
sound.
yeah.
The morning music.
Right.
The slower BPMs.
Yeah.
Which had more feeling, whether it was joy or happiness
Or a little sadness.
or a little sadness.
Right, but you couldn't dwell on it too long, because you didn't want to bring the whole
Right,
place down.
right.
So do you think drugs played a big part in why, like, the music and the scene was, I mean, can you talk about your impression of what the drugs were like for did different drugs, people, did you notice differences in playing different crowds for depending if they were different things? Because I think that's changed a lot too. Drug culture is not quite what it used to be in terms of, I think it helped people open their minds a little bit, right?
I think so. I was a beer drinker.
Yeah.
And I guess Special K came around first. Yeah, Special K came around. I mean, other than the
Pot,
pot
Yeah. Coke.
and Coke.
Right.
Yeah.
Ecstasy.
It was a Special K that I didn't understand. Because you couldn't even, some of them couldn't even stand up on their feet. It's like, why are you out here?
Right.
This is a dance floor. Get behind the pool table or whatever. I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I just played music.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's all I was in it
So you don't have much of an opinion about it?
No, I don't. I don't.
Okay. It's sort of a pet sort of thing of mine because I've always been wondering about like if people notice different reactions from different things, or because I find that playing for drunks is different from playing for like potheads, for example.
Oh,
At least
yeah.
in my own head.
Yeah.
It feels that way to me.
Yeah, you're
You
right
know,
on that.
you
I'll
know.
agree with you with that.
Yeah.
But the other drugs, I mean, I never knew, I really never used them.
I can't play on anything.
Yeah,
I need to be in control. I can't play on
Right.
substances really because it's just too. I need to be in control.
okay.
Yeah, I agree with you there.